I'm kind of disappointed you didn't mention my high goal of banning Archon Investigation.
The other day, I don't remember if we talked about it or if you saw it, where somebody was like, "Oh, V5 is terrible for flavor. Like the flavor of this game doesn't make any sense." I got to do a positive rant, which I don't often get to do, right? Most of the time, my rants they sound pretty negative because a lot of stuff that grinds my gears is ultimately grinding my gears in a bad way. In this particular case, like, don't shit talk this game with like intense flavor. This is like the most flavorful card game I've ever played. I played so many games and so many of them feel like you came up with the mechanics first and then put something on top of those mechanics to make it a game flavored like this. I love Dominion. Dominion has nothing to do with what Dominion is about. Dominion is just a game where you play a bunch of cards in series and do a bunch of stuff. And it has like it is themed enough, right? VTES is not that. VTES is a game that you play the game and it feels like what it's supposed to be. You are this big, powerful creature. The way I stated it is, I like the idea of pretending that we're all GMs trying to control players, right? So we finally get our play group together and we're like, okay, I want you to go like take out this guy's Denny's because it's a big problem over here. And he like goes on the mission. And then you're like, okay, so there's a guy that's seeing you right now. What do? Oh, I let him see me. Like, no, play a stealth. Use your obfuscate. You have obfuscate. No, I don't. I don't want to spend the blood right now. I don't think this is a good use of my blood. No, spend. And that's why like you don't have that card in your hand. When you're like looking at your hand, you're like, I don't have any obfuscate to get by. And that's that like demonstrates the player deciding like, I don't feel like using it today. I think it'll be fine. This guy's going to be friendly and he's going to be nice to me. And it's like, but he's wearing a leather jacket that literally has like an Anarch symbol on it. Are you sure you want to do this?
I think in a way it shows that you can influence it, that you don't have absolute power.
Yes. That's the important part, though. You're not supposed to, right? The idea behind a Methuselah is they are somebody who's not just playing this one game of VTES, but in theory, this Methuselah is playing dozens of different games of VTES all across the world. This is why, like, a master phase action is only one action, because you can really only do something very directly for a very limited amount of effort, right? And then you have to deal with the other shit that's going on while your machinations over here are doing what they're supposed to be. The game is so tastefully designed. It feels so good. And every game has like a really cool story running underneath it that just makes like, I don't understand why people don't find watching the games more fascinating, because you see things that happen that just like, I don't know.
It's about length of a game, which...
But you don't actually have to even watch 90% of the game. You can literally listen to most of it and jump in when you hear something unusual happen and be like, oh my God, that's like really cool. Enkidu gets beat by an Anarch convert because Enkidu didn't draw a diversion this turn, even though they ran through 10 cards. So you got like this, and you imagine real life, you got Enkidu and he's staring down this little guy and he goes to like claw at him and the guy's like going unconscious at the same time. He just happens to like grab hold of like some skin on Enkidu's leg and it like just peels off just enough that Enkidu's like, oh, that actually hurts a little too much. Thud. Like, this game does so much of that, and all you have to do is be listening for it.
I think you do have a more vivid imagination compared to other people, which is a good thing.
I mean, I would agree. I don't think I could have GM'd for as long as I have without having some measure of imagination that's reasonable. But I wish more people had this. Like, a lot of what drives people to games like this, like people get driven to Magic all the time, and when you think about like the mechanics of Magic, they don't match what the cards are. They don't match what the theme of the game is. It's a mechanically cool game, but it's like the same way like championship wrestling, not non-Olympic wrestling is right now, right? It's a game that isn't what the game actually was. It's a whole different thing now. Nobody watches like WWE events for the like actual matches, you're watching for the sheer technicality of it. You're watching for the storyline development. You're watching for the where are they going in the meta aspect. I mean, maybe some people do still watch it for the simplicity stuff, but like the top level stuff is almost more engaging than low level stuff. The same with Magic. As soon as you get past like a basic game of Magic, you realize like this game is not just about I'm throwing creatures back and forth at each other. It's a whole like algorithmically different game or logarithmically different game.
But Magic for me is none about flavor.
Correct.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
It's a purely mechanical game.
Yep.
In its good and bad ways.
Yep.
But no flavor at all.
No flavor.
It doesn't feel like it.
Every time somebody's like, oh, this card has flavor, I'm like, there's an ounce of flavor in this card, but the rest of this card is purely mechanical. It might as well have been designed by a robot.
There's no flavor in it at all, because there's no fluff behind it.
There is fluff behind it.
Where's
Okay, so here, let's Yawgmoth is one of my favorite villains in the whole game. Yawgmoth is presented in the Phyrexian way of life. It's presented in like the stories for generations upon generations.
Are there any books?
Yes, I literally have one on my shelf. There are entire novels devoted to the game. There was a comic that they ran. The problem is they never pushed this product forward for people to enjoy. So most people playing the game have never seen the story, never experienced it, have no idea what it is, and you have to like read it through card flavor text, which is terrible because their flavor text is sometimes great, sometimes just terrible. But there are books. In fact, used to every time you buy what was called a fat pack, you used to get a novel with it. You get a novel, 6 packs, and a bunch of land. And now you stop getting novels at a certain point because they were like, we don't want to pay authors money for this, and we can just have somebody write a post on our website about it. And then they started doing a webcomic, and I think they actually made a real comic at one point, and then it didn't do very well because they had to spend actual money and didn't want to. And now they're talking about the movie that's supposed to be coming around the corner in either Q4 2023, I think, or 2024, I forget which. Well,
there is a different game, completely different from Magic or Betas, which is called Warhammer 40k, which is a fucking tabletop where you play with miniatures.
Yep. I know 40k.
Roll some dice. Yeah, I know. I just want to make the point. And from the feel, the tabletop is by far the most insignificant part as of now.
Maybe. I haven't followed 40k in a long time.
No, I mean, what do you think when you hear 40k? You think about books? You think about video games?
No, maybe that might be other people. When I think of 40k, I think of some guy who's going to tell me all about their army and how detailed they painted it, how like their unit can do XYZ amounts of damage. And then when you ask them like, well, how do you do in events then? And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Good conversation on the topic. I learned later on the depth of 40k, the depth of stories behind the factions, the way that factions splintered off, the way that there's like sub factions within the factions, the way that like different units can be customized and done, the way there's like books that you have to pour through to find out what the actual stats of your character are based on modifications you made or even based on what it is at core, because you're just buying a mini. That mini doesn't come with stats. You got to buy this book over here that has the stats for that mini, and that book's going to get updated periodically, so you better be checking all the time to make sure your mini is still, first of all, legal, because who knows when they're going to just randomly and arbitrarily ban your whole battalion at one point, or when they're going to make a 2-letter change to your unit and completely change the entire way your team now works.
Yeah, but the depth behind it, I came in touch with 40k via Dawn of War video game.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like different video games, and then I read some wiki,
right,
some books. You don't have to play the actual tabletop even once to get in the world of Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, I give them a lot of credit for that, for actually expanding their universe properly instead of like doing this thing where it's gated behind a game that not everybody's going to enjoy.
And this is fluff for me. This is a story told for me compared to Magic.
But again, I think that's access. That's an access-driven problem. Magic did a very poor job giving people access to the story behind their game. You basically had to be a Magic player to know the story.
No, they didn't want you. They didn't want people to know the story.
No,
Otherwise,
they do sort of. Let me clarify this.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
If they would have wanted this, if they wanted to make it public, Wizard of the Coast has so much money. They could have promoted it, but they didn't.
So there's something important though to keep in mind here. In early 2099, something like that. I forget. There's a point where Wizard of the Coast is acquired by Hasbro, and in that acquisition, it was September 1999. Wizard of the Coast makes a $325 million acquisition. Or I'm sorry, Hasbro makes a $325 million acquisition of Wizards of the Coast. That is basically the point that you can track back to. They're promised initially that like the game is not going to be changed. The developers are going to be allowed to steer the game in whatever direction they want. And you can watch Hasbro slowly move their tendrils into the game and pull the game in a different direction, going away from wasteful things that don't optimize profit into how do we maximize the number of people who are going to spend money on cards. The game very rapidly moved away from using the universe as a sales platform for the game to using the player base as a sales platform for the game.
Yeah, might be so, but still, this is 24 years ago.
Yes.
So.
And they're now the most profitable game, the most profitable CCG on the market.
Yes, which is okay. But they don't want to sell by fluff.
But they do want to have fluff in it because fluff is what draws lots of players into it.
No.
It is actually. No. The biggest reason that I would get people to play the game, and it was... And I'll be honest with you. It actually frustrated me as a game store owner. It annoyed me the number of people that wanted to play the game because, I get to play with this pretty art card or this flyer or whatever. And, they referred to as casual play. Like casual Magic players see something in Magic that isn't actually what the game is about. And it can sometimes be very frustrating because they also want to talk to you about the game like they're a different kind of player. They will tell you all about how cards that are nowhere near broken are so busted because they're still playing a 2/2 for 3 with no abilities. They don't realize that like Doomblade is not a busted card because there's a card that costs 1 mana that kills a creature with power and toughness less than 13, and all you have to do is like have something minor happen to do that. Like those players though make up a large majority of people who buy packs. They love buying packs. There is no group that buys packs more than new players who are casual players. They want to open them up. They want to look through the stuff. When they get a rare that they like, they are more likely to sell you a rare if it has a $4 or higher price tag than somebody who is a competitive player is if they get something like that, because the competitive player believes that he will be able to sell that card for more than that value later on. Casual players move more money, and they move it because of flavor. Wizards of the Coast Hasbro wants to make sure there is just enough flavor without costing actual money to make that flavor consumative of the rest of what they have to do.
But what I'm talking about flavor is something different, like possibly rather fluff. Yeah, this is a term I've learned in a Warhammer 40k. Mm-hmm. Like the whole big backstory is for Warhammer is what draws people into, and for Vampire, for Vitas,
correct.
I'd say the same. The V5 or V20 or whatever thing behind it is not what interests all of them, but I think at least half of the player in the Discord would be interested in the V5 or in the role-play game as well.
Correct. I would not disagree with that. I think that most of the people that end up in this game don't end up in this game because the game is like for the game mechanics. They end up in this game because they really like the World of Darkness universe. And many of them have also tried Rage. They've tried Rivals. They've probably played Bloodlines at some point, or at least seen somebody play Bloodlines. And the handful of people that aren't in that category are, they're probably friends of somebody who has. It's almost inevitable that there's some kind of linkage between those.
This is not the level which Magic is on.
Well, no, but that's because Magic detoured. Magic detoured back in 99 and gradually moved away from that.
This is just what I mean. Flavor, or rather fluff, is not what draws people into Magic.
I mean, yes, again, the response I would give you is yes and no.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm kind of disappointed you didn't mention my high goal of banning Archon Investigation.
Well, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think Archon Investigation is counter to the game. Like, as much as there needs to be some solution that is Archon Investigation light, but Archon Investigation itself does the wrong thing. Killing a vampire is not an okay solution to, I got bled for 4.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion, but Retribution being non-unique would solve the problem.
Yes. I think that card is every bit as good as it needs to be, considering like how powerful comparatively Archon Investigation was. I think that every time I played Touch of Pain, it always felt like if this card cost 0, it would have been just fine. So I'm actually with you on that. I think Archon Investigation is a card that is worthy of being taken out of the game. I don't think it needs to exist. I think it's bad.
Yeah, but BCP reprinted it even as a promo.
Yeah, but again, it looks like promos will probably not be part of V5, or maybe they will. I don't know, because there's no nomenclature for it right now.
Yeah, there's just one promo pack, which is explicitly V5, which is third pack with Oculus, Camarilla Segregation, Tremere, Convocation.
Yeah, Malkavian Rider Clause, and the other one.
Bestial, Nosferatu Bestial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they should make a positive list, but this is another discussion.
Yes, no, it's an important discussion, because as we talked about before, I want to run a V5 tournament. I am planning to run a V5 tournament, and I'm going to take a chance on I'm going to list up what I think should be in V5, and I think everybody's going to be like, this is stupid, this isn't going to work. Screw it. I don't care. It should be tried.
No, I think people will join.
Maybe. I definitely think people are going to bitch about it. I think we will see people go, your list is wrong. You should be including this, or you shouldn't be including that, or why is this here? Or why is there's only going to be so few clans? And it's like, good, let the Banu Hakim have a 5-player table that all contests. I want to see one Banu Hakim per player on the table, because they can't put out another one without contesting another one.
You know what? If they complain, I'll just ping Huge and Anka. Like 10 times. We need a positive list. Please stop the haters.
Oh, yeah. I really do wish, though. Like okay, let's assume that maybe you've got the right perspective here. Let's assume the goal is that only V5 is what the production cycle is about, and that anything else is just fluff to fill in gaps for the actual sets that are to come. Then branding needs to change around it. Branding needs to be very clear. Branding needs to be marked in some way, like this is what V5 is on at least the packaging, or like in whatever the marketing materials look like. It should be clear what is going to be V5 or not, and it should be starting now. There should be something I can look at when I pick up a pack. So like, I think something very simple is just that when I pick this up, there is the new version of the vampire logo. If you want to do that, that's fine. Do that. Make that the thing that determines on any product that you market whether or not it's going to be legacy, or whether or not it's going to be current or modern or V5 or whatever we're going to call the format going forward. Probably V5. But it seems like that's not necessarily the case either, because the branding seems to be across the board on some things that have come out. Like it's hard. Like they have to put extra text into the thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little off base there, but I don't think I am.
Well, I think the point you make about it being easily distinguishable V5 and Legacy is a good one. I mean, we do have the small symbol in the right top.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think this is enough.
No, it's ultimately not. That's why, like, what Wizards of the Coast did was they distinguish it by border. They changed the card border. It was funny. The idea was everybody knew the minute that Wizards once again changed the border that another thing they were trying to do, because of the way they printed cards, was like, oh, you're clearly preparing to create a new format, aren't you? Like, because in the set they reprinted in the very next set like a certain series of cards that were like, oh, you're figuring out what you think the balance level for this format should be, and you're prototyping with these things. And then a few more sets came out, and then there were people in the background that were talking, and they were trying to make it look like, oh, this is just a player-created community of people trying to start this thing. And yet Wizards of the Coast would periodically highlight these events that were going on by these people. And it's like, yeah, you want to know if people really want this thing or if they're not at all interested in this thing. Whereas on the V-Test side, we're like, we're going to keep saying that there's a V5 format coming, but there's no organization, there's no orchestration, there's nothing to tell us, like, these are what the cards are going to be. We're just, at some point, going to get surprised by, now we've got an official V5 format, and here's what's in it, and here's what our like policy is going to be going forward for them. And maybe it's that BCP doesn't know, and they're just trying to test the waters. But I don't think that's the case with as much as they keep saying V5 like it's Christmas, it's around the corner.
Should we stir the shit a bit?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Like, a shit stirrer is...
No, I know what a shit stirrer is. I don't know what you're implying we should stir with. There's a lot of ways we could stir shit here, okay?
You know, I do have the V5 card positive list. We could put this on the forum.
Wait, how can you confirm that what you have is the V5 positive card list?
This is exactly what we're gonna ask Anka. So I'll put in the list of all cards, including the promos. Hey Anka, my friend and I are planning a tournament.
Anka barely answers rules questions. That man, I think the odds of him responding to this kind of request are just like non-existent. Read the forum sometime and see just how many rules questions go unanswered. I had to deal with like a conversation with what was it? Was it Andrew?
But on Facebook, in the Facebook EKN.
Yeah, the Viken Facebook.
And, yeah, there was by Talon, the point, we need a positive list.
I agree.
And you agreed on it.
Yes.
So I don't care if Anka answered it.
I don't care at this point. I don't care if anybody answers it. We're just going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I can write a post tonight if you want to.
No, I don't think we need a post. I think we just set what it's going to be. We decide what it's going to be and we push it. We make it.
I'm fine with this as well.
Let them fight us. If we run V5 events and we say there are V5 events, they then have to explain to people why other cards are not allowed in V5. But to me, like the ordering should be more baseline. It should be like I'm torn on the first two promo kits. But I think were they technically pre-BCP?
The first, in any case?
Yeah. No, promo pack 1, promo pack 2, and promo pack 3.
Promo pack 1 is clearly Legacy.
Oh, yeah, because it's the one with, like, Lord Tremere and Draken. That's right. I had to grab your thing here from the stack. I thought 2, though, wasn't as clear.
2, the vampires are not as clear, but the minion cards are. These are clearly Legacy.
You think so? Because they're Pentex Aversion, Black Metamorphosis is definitely clearly Legacy. But the rest of them I don't, and maybe Ankara Citadel. I should pronounce that correctly. But I think Subversion, Murmur, and Parity Shift are all, like, reasonably balanced cards.
Yeah.
It's so weird that they'd put Black Metamorphosis in here, and not one of these vampires has Obtenebration. And Una's in it, but only in a single copy.
Yeah, and he can't be V5 as well.
Yeah.
So I think...
But yeah, otherwise, without these vampires, like, there's a lot of these decks don't do nearly as well. Having the Brusian not get Lumea is not an irrelevant thing.
Yeah, so what I think would be acceptable is saying that G6 vampires from Promo Pack 2 are V5 accepted. But if you if you try to differentiate between which action or minion card is V5 and which not, this is harder to
No, I'm actually thinking it might not be. Hold on a sec. I'm double checking something real quick in the images. There's one image that I need to verify here. Yeah, so in this promo pack, the reprints still carry the 25th anniversary label on them. So the Una, the Ankara Citadel, and I guess Black Metamorphosis. God damn it, Black Metamorphosis. Why were you in this pack? Why were you in this pack? You're the only card where I couldn't do something as simple as and cards from Promo Pack 2 that are labeled as promo, which means that they lack a set symbol. But Black Metamorphosis is the oddball out there.
No.
Oh no, Una also doesn't have a 25. God, so Una can make it. Una makes the cut. Fuck it. There's one Group 3 vampire, and if somebody wants to play 12 copies of Una, or one copy Una and 12 and 11 Anarch Converts, let it be legal. Let it be legal. No, promo pack 2. We're gonna. So that's fine. Promo pack 2, part of V5. Whole thing. Let somebody play their Una and Anarch Convert deck. Okay, they get it.
No, they can't play Demontation.
They can.
No.
Okay, so actually an easier ruling there is only vampires with V5 disciplines. Any cards featuring disciplines. No. You say anything from Promo Pack 2 forward, excluding cards with that are either no, it doesn't work either.
No. I think the best call is you do have Alicia Cortez. You do have the Kickstarter promo pack as well. Which is clearly non-V5 anyway.
Yeah, that one is definitely not.
You would have the issue of explaining why Vivienne Giroux would be V5, City Star Taxi would be V5, Dark Web Procurer.
No, I don't think any of those cards are going to be V5. I don't think that meets the thing either. There's a lot of players I feel like there's some level of them rubbing me the wrong way.
I mean, you could call a judge.
The problem is there's nothing in the floor rules for some of this. This is something that has bothered me for a long time. We have very poor floor rules for what is negative attitude. I forget the wording that's literally in there, because it's part of what I wanted to talk about the last time I talked about stuff to talk about, was the fact that like the floor rules for tournaments are not great, because as long as you're not shitting on the person, you can passively insult another person via their deck as much as you want. And it is like perfectly acceptable, or at least seems to be a unpunishable thing.
If you would call a judge, you would possibly raise awareness.
You could, but it doesn't do much. If the judge isn't willing to report warnings or actually kick people from events for bad attitudes, then none of that matters. Because you would say one shitty thing about a person or about a person's play decision or deck decision that was obviously a jab at the person up top, and he'd be warninged. And then the very next step would be like, okay, you're done. Get off the table. Nice you to hand VPs to your prey, or your predator rather.
Yeah.
But to me, like, we don't deal with it well enough. We just absolutely don't.
Well, if you would call a judge, you would force them to take a side.
Correct. But the thing is, that doesn't, it can make one player look bad if I seem like I'm trying to be the tone police. So if I'm doing it, I really need to make sure it's where it is. Also, did you know, just as an aside, profanity is banned at all tables?
No, I didn't. I won't play with you anymore.
Tournament 5.2 for under unsportsmanlike conduct. In the final line, in addition, players must not use profanity, argue, act belligerently towards tournament officials or one another, or harass spectators, tournament officials, or opponents. So it is against the rules to use profanity or to argue. How can it be against the rules to argue?
But I would say that this gives good amount to throw people off the table per judge decision if you wanted to.
Right, but then you become known as that guy who tone polices, and then people like don't want to play with you anymore.
Well, I suppose it would matter about how often you do it and in what kind of certain circumstance you do.
That also feels hard for me though, because like some of that could go back the other way. I need to completely change my attitude as I play, because the pendulum could swing back the other way. Some more pious player could point out that I said the word shit one time in response to drawing a card I didn't want, and now I'm out of the table as well. So, like, what is this? Like some sort of social ousting process? Like, haha, I got him saying the word shit. Goodbye.
Yeah, but I suppose I'd say using profanities as insult is something different.
But that's not what's here. That's the problem I have is it's not what's in the rule book. What's in the actual rules is different than the way we execute by a large margin. There's so many things, and I argue about this with the rules just in general. What we say and what we say about certain things is just not what ends up happening for other things, and it creates this very weird ambiguity problem. That's why people constantly on the ruling thing are asking questions about things that are identical to other things, because who the hell knows?
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw the discussion on the Discord yesterday, I suppose.
The one about the Seeds of Corruption?
Yeah, where you said, why fix it? It's a broken card in such a big card pool, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And with this attitude, they could simply ban a few more cards and it would be solved.
I mean, ultimately, yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily the right decision, but I feel like that goes back to, like, the theme of the game needs to be decided. An overarching, this is our direction for the game. It's sort of, I don't like calling things manifestos, but it's the word that pops into my mind the most. But you need, like, what's the one they use in the creative world? Oh, God. Damn it. I'm bad at words. I know English, and I'm bad at English. It's going to come to me in 20 minutes, I'm sure. But basically, like, all your things should fall into a similar pattern that should make logical sense, and basic levels of inference should be able to be used to identify what likely happens here. And there will be some exceptions, but overall, there shouldn't be many, and they should be logical exceptions.
Yeah, and I think if you ban a few cards which cause issues, like mechanical issues, not balancing issues, it would be a quick fix.
Correct.
Which would be okay by me, because if you were to fix it per the rule book, editing the rule books, or rather the rules, or the cards, you just take a lot more effort instead of saying, okay, this is causing confusion ever so often. Just outright ban it. Yeah,
but that doesn't seem to be the direction of this game. Instead, it's reword it in a forum post and bury it, and then have LSJ, have Anka have to repeatedly repeat the ruling over and over and over again, because the forums are a terrible place to store all of your rulings.
Yeah, I mean, KRCG is a good improvement.
Sure, except that KRCG often can't keep up with the amount of rulings or other things and is actively missing stuff.
Yeah, because there's one person behind it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So many of the tools are volunteer level tools, and they're not directly supported, or there's not like simple APIs to grab information out of stuff, or there's not like a simple submission form or like a templating, right? Let's say that every time Anka made a ruling, they created some sort of plugin for the forum where Anka types it in a certain way, types in the name of the card, then types in what the ruling is, and bam, it's sent off to the guy doing KRCG. That's a simple solution that takes minimal effort and results in rulings being centrally located. It's basically sort of how Wizards of the Coast handles rules. When a ruling is made, they go straight to Gather. I think it's not Gather anymore, but it used to be Gather.
A database, whatever it is called.
Yeah, where somebody can find that information in seconds instead of spending minutes scouring through the forum to see, like, oh yeah, in 2020, Anka made a comment in a passive thread about Govern the Unaligned, but referenced the card delaying tactics and said that this does this thing here, and it was different than this thing over here. And it's only in that circumstance that it applies now because of the way the wording was done. And you're just like, this is not a way to find information. And that's how most of these threads are, when you're looking at like the old-fashioned LSJ mega threads, where it's like LSJ responding to 70 different card questions, and like none of them have anything to do with each other, and you're reading like these snippets to identify he doesn't respond to the full thing about that card. He responds to just the comment that's relevant to the card, and you're like, which one is that referencing? Oh wait, I gotta scroll all the way back up here. I'll read this comment right here, and then I'll jump all the way back down, and I'll read this comment down here, and okay, it looks like this, but then here you'll read his wording, and it's not always concise, or he'll just say things like, yep, it's kind of like that. And it's like, that's a non-answer. Kind of is not an answer. Like, definitive, state what the answer to what the question is, please, needs to be here. And it's so full of that. And everybody just acts like, oh, this has worked for years, so it's okay. It's like, it's worked for years, and the game has hemorrhaged players so many times. You have to do something better than this. Something. Yeah. If you're gonna make a ruling, at the very least, put it in a fucking Word document. Copy whatever you said in the card in question and paste it in a Word document. It's 2 seconds. Use a Google Doc if you don't want to wait for Word to load up, if that's your problem, right? Just something, anything, please help me. Oh.
Well, there's Phoenix, who's behind it.
Yeah, does a good job.
But it's not enough.
No, because he might have a helper, but yeah, like he does so much. And he's working on so many other things related to the game. It's impressive how he can manage to juggle all this variety of stuff. He's like a godsend to the game in many ways.
Yeah, if he'd be missing...
if he got sick for like a month... there would be so many things that would fall into disrepair. I mean, like, the online tournament system is basically him. You know, he creates the backbone for that. And if it just broke at one point and he got sick, that's just it. It's gone.
I mean, I think it's all... the code is open, right?
Sure, but somebody has to figure out how to interpret it, how to use it, and then like how to fix it if something breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say whatever happens. I mean, he does a great amount. It's not like Lackey or just a person who has the code for himself.
Yeah, at least publicly available, which is very important to have. I would like to see more of these things be able to have teams and have more direct support from BCP. And I know that it's not like they can't financially back it, but I don't know, make something official. Make something that is presently a tool used by somebody be at least something that is the official tool for doing this. And then make sure that you guys are more in communication with whoever it is that's handling that tool. So they always have the resources they need at their disposal. And you don't have like that weird Amaranth versus VDB thing that was going on where it's like neither one of them is really the tool and there's communication issues and delegation issues and stuff like that. Just, I don't know, make this system, have something be the thing. Adopt something if you have to, or it can be the unofficial official. But I don't know.
I mean, I think what might be interesting for Anka is he's doing the TVD all by himself, if I see it correctly. And Archon has the ability to import a VDB address per registration. So by saying KOCG and decklists are, at least for nationals or some Grand Prix, are needed, he could generate the TVD out of KOCG. Would that be possible? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be. There's a lot of stuff here that I feel like is very possible that just doesn't get executed on. But again, like why we only get the top deck and not the top 5 decks. Why a special project has to be built to make that request when what we're sending out is essentially an Excel document. Take the Excel data, feed it into a database. It's it can be as simple as like a copy and paste with some of the right utilities, and then have this like mass archive for all the events that people are in. It's kind of there, right? Because you can see your statistics as to how you played and when you played. If we had a static, this is the tool you use for deck building, if there was an official one, then it can always just be, okay, well, I need the link to your deck list. I don't understand. I know that a lot of this takes time to implement, but we've had like decades now.
I think the effort you take for the implementation pays off by large.
Yes.
A lot of things which cost effort beforehand, but you can see how it will solve a problem.
Yeah, because it makes the game look more professional. It makes the game look like it has a destination.
I mean, I don't think it's just related to Vitas. It's just a live experience.
Yes.
People are hesitant to put in effort, even if they see how it could be better.
Yeah. Which
Because
is...
they would need to leave the path they just take all the time. They would need to try something new, and this is so exhausting for them. They rather do the exhausting stuff all the time instead of putting one-time effort for a solution.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately like not where we are in the world. It doesn't seem like it's the philosophy of people. So we're going to be stuck here for what feels like a while.